Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tâm, and it's a great honor for me today to make a short speech about a very funny topic named fingerprint biometrics. Firstly, I want to ask you a question that are you relying on your internet banking or credit cards for transfers money? And do you scare that one day your password or your PIN code being hacked or stolen? But don't worry. Today, because right now I will introduce to you a very fun, a very useful method called fingerprint biometrics. This method is being improved and developed quickly nowadays, and you can use it to replace or support your password to make it safer. And so, to know clearly about this topic, we will follow these contents. I will give you some basic information. Firstly, we should know what is biometric and what kinds they have. Biometrics can be defined as the most practical means of identifying and authenticating and in recognize individuals in a very reliable and fast way through their unique biological characteristics. So biometrics allow a person to be identified based on recognizable, verifiable, and unique and specific data. So talking a little bit about the classifications, biometrics can be defined into two groups. The first one is the physiological measurements, and the second one is behavioral measurements. So physiological measurement can have the fingerprint recognition, the face recognition. It's based on their morphology. And in this group, we have also another analysis. This is related to the biology, such as the blood or the DNA. And the second group is behavioral measurements. We can use some, the most common, we can use the voice recognition or some patterns, such as the gestures, the sound, or the DNA, the signature recognition. So, and all of those techniques are being improved and developed quickly. And so, as you can see, the fingerprint recognition belongs to the physiological measurements, and we can use it based on the morphology. Talking a little bit about the history of fingerprint, Chinese is known the first culture known to be the first country to use the friction-rich impressions as the identification. And in the China, about 200 BC, in the clay, people found that there are Asian fingerprint. And fingerprint was used to seal the contracts on the legal documents. And especially in the 1685, a Dutch anatomist named Bilow, he wrote a book named The Anatomy of the Human Body. In this book, he described in details the human friction ridge. And through centuries, many researchers do research on the fingerprints and apply it into the human life. And as you see in the 2014, Apple company used the two-factor for the authentication, such as the face and both the fingerprint. But nowadays, they totally change. Just use one identifier as the face recognition. And the fingerprint patterns, we can divide into main three groups: the arch, the look, and the word group. And people found that the shapes of the fingerprint related to human genes, and analyzing the human data and reveal that fingerprint can relate it to the finger length. For example, if people have the word group in both their little fingers, it tends to be longer than people who don't have the word type. And talking a little bit, these patterns also related person characteristic. For example, in the arch type, is said to be the sign of a people, someone who is practical and cautious. They refer traditional values and stable. They do not want. They rather like following rather than the leader. And it's also talk. They are also difficult to get along with others. And the second group is the loop type. The loop type is the most common type of the fingerprint patterns, and people tend to have average intelligence. And this type of people, they are happy to go with the flow, and they comfortable also following rather than leading. And the last group is the word type, and they tend to have above average intelligence, and they are very special, and they have a dominant personality type. As we can use a simple words to describe them, and a strong will perfectionist. Through this information, we can use this as a reference to know more about ourselves or our children characteristic, to know which way to develop it. And so how to build a fingerprint system. We have two main stages. The first one is enrollment. Enrollment is mean that of person fingerprint will be scanned, and then it is their unique biometric features will be extracted and saved in the binary code. And after that, through the verification stage, when somebody want to check about their fingerprint, and the data will be reviewed, and matched with the store template. After that, if they match, that person's information will be verified, and the whole verification process takes just a few hundred milliseconds. It's very quickly to know exactly your information and provide a highly accurate matching result. So now we're talking about the applications of the fingerprint. There are many applications right now use the fingerprint biometrics, and we through the fingerprint scanner. So I will talk about 4 main cases that people like using the fingerprint. The first one is the law enforcement and public security, and it supports the law enforcement agency. As you know, we can apply it for identify criminals, terrorists, and for crime investigation. And people are continually involved to collect and match biometric patterns collected from the crime scenes, intelligence gathering, and security. And the second group is military. Know your enemy. That it means that how defense agency around the world use biometric to protect their country. And the most common application that use the fingerprint biometric is for the border controlling, traveling, and migration. And many countries have built this build this system to control the migration flows and in and out. And then the fingerprint scanner or even the cameras at the border post to capture the travelers' images and fingerprint to help identify quickly and more accurately. And the final application of this system is for the healthcare. And you know, patients often visit the hospital with visit multiple healthcare providers, and there are so many information such as the test result or the diagnosis of the doctor. And if we have this fingerprint system, it will be more safer for the patient to be recognized accurately, and it will be eliminated duplication of patient record, improve the patient the waiting time, increase the accuracy in patient medical folder. So as you know, with the basic information, we can see that applying the fingerprint system is very useful nowadays. And especially in my hospital right now, also apply this system to make to save the patient time, and especially every person only have their unique friction rich unique fingerprint, so everything will be more accurately. So that's my topic, and thank you a lot for listening.